Welcome to a special Orta Know Better podcast interview. My name is Karl and I'm joined by the man who scored that great goal in the San Siro. How are you doing, Dominic Matteo? You alright?
I am doing great and thank you for having me on.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us today. Firstly, what did you think of the game launch tonight?
Loved it.
Yeah.
Do you know what? It's nice to see people smiling, talking about football, having a bit of fun. That's what we've all missed, haven't we, over the last few years? So we know it's been a tough time for everyone. I really enjoyed that, interacting with some lads I didn't know, being brutally honest. So it was great, and I felt like even yourself. It feels like I know you now. It's like that's the way it should be. And I think with football, it does bring people together, and that's the most important thing. And that's why I think this game's so good.
I think that I genuinely thought the same thing when I was playing it earlier on. At the start we had that discussion where it was like, how do the rules work? But then once you got into it, it was absolutely sound.
You're right. I think you're spot on. I think with any new game, you always have a bit of what's this? How's this going to work? But it wasn't. Once it was explained to us and we worked it out, we enjoyed it. Obviously, we didn't do too well, which is disappointing. But we won't talk about that. But maybe we should have went for the easier questions. We went for the hard questions.
Perhaps we should have. But we'll work on that one next time for the next game anyway. Just a few questions that I have for you, Dom. Gilly on the pod, he wants to know. This is a bit of a good question, to be fair. How do you feel when your song is being sung and you're sitting in the stands? Have you ever been caught singing along to it?
I have to be honest and say I have sung it a little bit. Yeah, my kids would stitch me up if I didn't say that.
Really?
The kids like a bit of it as well.
Yeah,
the kids love it because obviously it's their names involved in it as well, so they love it. But no, I tell you, for example, for the last. Not the Newcastle game. I'm trying to think of the game before that. Ellen Road was. You must.
Game before Newcastle was Burnley, wasn't it?
Burnley. So we got good results.
Yeah.
There was a bit of a rendition of that, and once a few people see you, started singing it. I do go a bit shy.
Do you?
I must be honest.
All right. Okay.
And people go, you must have heard it a million times, which I have. Yeah. But you know what? I'm so proud to have played for this great club. I really mean that, and I always say it. And people go, "Oh yeah, it's the truth." I really loved my time playing for Leeds United. I really did. When I hear that, and especially obviously what I've been through myself, the support that I've had throughout that, it's a lot of Leeds fans that helped me as well because they were there for me. I was at Leeds Hospital, going through my treatment, going through all what I went through with my family. The Leeds fans were there for me, 1,000,000%.
That's great to hear. It's like that kind of support is always, it's very helpful in any kind of recovery, I'd imagine.
1,000,000%. And you know what as well? The nurses and everyone who helped me, my surgeon, from the top to the bottom, the people looked after me. Yeah. And that's what we need to get back to in our worlds. All of us need to get back to that, looking out for each other. Yeah. Doing stuff for people you don't know sometimes, chatting with them, speaking with them, seeing how they are. Yeah. That's the world that we all want to live in. Yeah. We're a long way from that, but let's hope that we can get there one day.
I think kindness costs nothing, and it's simple to just give out a bit of kindness here and there.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And one thing we did mention when we were putting the questions together was that we're, beating what you've beat. Yeah. The recovery that you've done, and to see where you are now back at Leeds United doing the commentary and the TV stuff and interviewing the players, that's some achievement considering where you've been and where you are now,
Yeah, and to anyone out there who's in that similar position, I'd say to them, keep going, keep believing. Belief is everything. I like to motivate myself and other people when I speak, because I think it's really important, and it's really, when you've got a bit of a voice in the football world or whatever world you're in, it's not just football, because people are struggling all over the world at the moment. I try and inspire people. Yeah. Bill Matt, what does he know? I know how to inspire people, I know how to help people, I know how to speak to people, and managing people and helping them along their journey, because I know so many people who are on this journey, and it's so tough. It is tough. I know firsthand how hard it is to live with cancer. Yeah. It's very tough. But I tell you what, there's a way through it, and you've just got to find that way and keep maintaining your faith. Keep thinking about everything that's important to you. Yeah. That'll bring you forward. That'll carry you on. I think about my kids, my wife, my family constantly. When I go for my walks, I talk to myself, and people will think this guy's blooming crazy. But I'm not. I'm thinking about them. I'm thinking about my next day. Every day for me is a blessing. Yeah. I didn't used to think like that. Now I do. Every day is a blessing. I'm lucky to be here. and I'm living my life, and I love my life, and I love my family, and I love my kids, and everything. And that might sound cliched, but it's not to me. When you're in this position, it means everything to me.
I personally don't think that's cliche, because it shows you appreciate what you have around you.
I do.
And it shows that no matter what you were going through, they were always your rock.
They were.
To stand by, like, you know what I mean? And that's very important. Like, it's very important.
And I think, you know, my wife, my kids, everyone, and even the football family got around me. I didn't think I had that many friends.
A lot more than you think, man.
No,
that's the other thing,
it's
isn't
bizarre.
it?
You don't realise until you go through a tough time, and then everyone's there for you. You know, some great people. The first person through the door to come and see me in hospital was Eddie Gray.
Really?
Leeds legend.
Jesus,
you know, father figure to me, Eddie. Always has been, always will be. Great guy, one of the best. One of the best players. Never mind, you know, the way he is.
Yeah, that's it. Like,
you know, and I've learned from some of the best people. You know, even in my Liverpool days, with Kenny, and you know the talks I've had with Kenny and the messages he sent me. We're talking about, you know, the greats of the game wanting to spend time with me and give me some information and help me and be there for me. Which the football world does do that. It does bring you together, and there's a lot more people out there than me struggling with, you know, with COVID and other stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we're just trying to help. All of us try. The thing is, life's a better place when you've got someone to talk to.
Yeah.
And I always say to people, I've got lots of mates who don't talk. They're quiet. They sit there, and I'm like, speak to me. If you've got something you're worried about, talk about it. Talking's everything. It's absolutely everything. And I am a talker, as you know here.
Yeah.
I like talking.
Absolutely. I'd never stop someone talking. It's great.
No, but it's great
because
if you got nothing positive to say, don't say it.
Yeah.
If you got something nice to say it and speak to people. If you haven't, don't bother, because they're not interested. Say something positive.
You can always tell by the people who want to chat positively to you to the ones that don't. It's easy to find them out. It's easy to suss them out and stuff like that, you know. It's not one of the questions that's on here.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you, when the likes of Kenny Dalglish and people like that are sending you messages of goodwill, as a Liverpool fan growing up, did you get goosebumps, even though you were going through what you were going through, because Kenny Dalglish was going, right, okay, even though you probably met him a million times before, but it's kind of an out of the blue, you know, thing?
I think it's very inspiring, and I think the people like Kenny, who made a difference in my life before I got ill. You know, I knew Kenny's son. I grew up with Paul, his son. In Birkdale. We played for the same team.
All right, okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of history of me and the family. I know his family, and obviously when Kenny and his daughter and Paul all sent me a little message wishing me all the best in my recovery, and I think I have kind of two families in the football world: Leeds United and Liverpool. And it's, you know, it's you got two. Well, they're the two clubs that have really helped me and been there for me when I've been going through tough times, and they always have been, and that's a constant.
And I think long may that continue with anyone that finds themselves in a difficult situation. Like, the clubs should always be there for them. Like, and obviously you've got like two clubs very close to your heart now as well, you know. And these things are good. They're always good to have these positive things going forward, you know. And I shake your hand for that, man, because you know it's tough going through what you went through, and to see where you're back to now is absolutely fantastic.
I mean, the thing is, I don't kid myself. It's a long road for me. And I hope it is a long road. Because I'm a fighter. I want to beat this. I want to get well. I want to do what I can. I want to be there for my kids, walking them down the aisle. You know, all them things. That's what's in my head now. I'm motivated to help people and help my family more than anything. And we should all believe in that. We all believe in that. And it's cliche, but you know what? You have to work out what's important and what's not. We've talked about this earlier, but it's so true. Realise what's right and what's wrong, because not enough of us do that at times. You know, and I think it's really important to help others and care for others, even if you don't know someone. Just, you know, when I walk out every day and take my little boy to school, if I don't say hello or hi to 10 people, I'm disappointed in myself. Because that costs nothing. Morning, how are you? What's going on? What's the crack? What's the story? As you say.
What's the story? What's
exactly.
the crack?
That's it.
Well,
That's what we do. And we've got to do more of that. More of us have got to interact, not getting our heads down on our phones, doing what we're doing. Talk.
Just get it out there, and if you're feeling it, and just sort it out. Don't bottle it up, because let's be honest, it's only going to get worse, and the bottle's not big enough.
Correct.
So look, we'll go on, and we'll have a chat about other things. Now, Luke on the pod wants to know...
Hi, Luke.
If you were to invite him round for dinner with your family, what would you cook?
Very simple for me.
Okay.
Very simple with my Italian background. It would, there you go. You got your Italy top on.
Keeping it real.
It is, for me, there's something special about Italy. Obviously, my dad's Italian, Italian name, Matteo. Couldn't get much more Italian than that.
No.
And, growing up, it was always the pasta and the bolognese. But, my mum, who's actually from Ormskirk, she's not quite Scouser, but she's from Ormskirk, a little village near Southport, and she had to go to Italy to learn how to cook, believe it or not.
Is that because your dad wanted her to do it?
Well, my dad was a chef in the army.
Oh, was he?
My dad was a chef in the army. My mum was in the army as well.
Okay.
But they met in the army.
All right, okay.
They've been married 60 odd years, mum and dad.
They've had that common ground from the start then, haven't they?
Yeah, and they knew straight away. My mum obviously didn't speak much Italian, had to go to Italy, and then all of a sudden she's having to make all this stuff and learn on her feet without the language as well.
Yeah. Which
is amazing. So I think my mum was like 6 months she had to be in Italy.
Really?
In a really small village in the middle of nowhere.
Well,
just getting on with it.
That's quite similar to my growing up as well. Like, my grandfather came from a small little town in Italy called Casalatico. It's kind of in between Rome and Cassino.
Are you joking to me?
No.
Joking?
No.
My dad's from a little village called Venafro.
That's not far from there.
Very close to Monte Cassino.
Yeah,
very close.
Honestly, you pass it going to Casalatico.
That's right. That's
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That's my dad.
That's mad.
And my dad's family were. I think they were. I'm trying to think where they. I'm trying to think there was a little village that was very close to Venafro, Lanuje. Oh. So Lanuje is the village where I used to go as a kid.
Is that the one with the swimming pool in the town centre? Or is that... I think that might be the next one down,
It might be.
I'm not sure.
But obviously, beautiful place.
Yeah.
Life's simple. Food's amazing. Everyone gets on.
Yeah.
You're drinking the red wine when you're a bit younger than what you should do, but it's all about family.
Yeah.
And the courses just keep coming. The food just keeps coming. You're like, flipping heck, what do we do with the next one?
And then the ice cream starts coming, and you've no choice.
And that's it. It's just... It's an amazing way of life.
Yeah.
And it's very simple.
Yeah. Could you see yourself retiring there? Well, when I say retiring, I mean as in, living out your years where you don't have to do anything.
We love Italy.
Yeah.
Me and my wife went there. We took a little boy when he was very young to Sorrento, and we loved it. I love Italy in general. If you said to me what food you want, it would always be an Italian meal. It would be. That's the truth. I think a lot of people think that as well. But it's got to be made right with the right ingredients, the right, there's a right way of doing it. My mum's sauce, or because she had to learn how to make it. And it's like, before I got poorly, I used to go over and just have a little bowl of pasta with my mum and dad over in Southport, and for me, it's still the best food ever.
Yeah,
just home cooked stuff that we all want to eat. A bowl of pasta, bit of sauce, not too much sauce.
No,
they overdo it on the sauce, don't they?
Less is more in Italian food.
Correct, and that's the truth.
It is.
So no, I always have that soft spot for the Italian cuisine, and it's a big part of my life. And even now, because of my diet, I have to change a little bit. But that's like because I don't eat red meat anymore.
Oh right, okay,
I've changed my style of food.
All right. So, and would you be eating a lot of I don't want to say vegan, but along that kind of route?
Sometimes I'll try.
You still have milk and cheese and stuff.
I will explore anything. No, I don't eat milk.
Oh, do you not?
No.
Nothing like that anymore. No dairy products, or anything like that.
I do. My life is too important.
Okay.
So I just made some changes. Like I'll have a couple of pints. And it's great to do that because I'm still living my life a little bit, but I won't overdo it. I'll have a couple of beers and I'll be off. Or I'll have a bit of something to eat and I'll enjoy it. Sometimes I do treat myself because you have to get through this situation.
You're miserable otherwise.
That's it. That is it. And I'll be brutally honest with you. For a while, I was living in a different world. I was just focusing on getting well for 2 years. Then now, I'm still doing that and I'm still focused on staying well.
Yeah.
But I do allow myself to have the odd pint or have the odd bit of food that maybe I wouldn't always have.
Yeah, but I think if you don't treat yourself after what you've been through, then what's the point in going through what you went through if you can't enjoy the life that you've built for yourself thereafter? I think what you're doing is absolutely spot on, and anyone that judges you because of what you've been through, let them off. They're not worth it.
Correct.
So next question anyway that we want to go on to is Smarty wants to know if you could offer young Dom a single piece of advice, what would it be?
It's interesting because I heard the coach, the manager now, talking about it, is be good at the basics, do the basics well. And when you get your confidence going, don't take liberties. Remember where you came from, what you've done, what you've achieved, but you're nothing without a team. You always have to think about team. It's team for me all the way. But also, the best bit of advice I'd give for any young player is be your own person. Be your own person, and don't be. We've all done it, by the way. Yeah. We've all bought the cars, bought the houses, done this, done that. They're the things I'd say to younger players now. Don't fall down that trapdoor. If that's the right word. Yeah. Don't. Stick to what you know. Listen to all the advice you were given, and then you won't. Yeah. I'm not saying it won't ever happen, but stick to them principles at the start. I was taught, the great Ronnie Morano, have mentioned on many occasions, one of the best coaches I've ever worked with, God bless him. He told me everything about football. Yeah. He told me about the game. I learned from him, and I still use his phrases to this day. Yeah. What a man.
Well, like the thing with that is, like, a lot of people will impact your life, and they're the ones that are going to, like you said, just still remember stuff that he says to you, and you can pass that knowledge on.
I can hear him in my ear going, come on, do this better, do this, get in this position. And I think the one thing in football that I don't think a lot of clubs are that good at as a player in certain positions, especially defence, is positional sense. Is everything. And Ronnie gave me that. He told me about positional sense. He was a left back himself, and I played left back, left midfield, centre half. In positional sense, if you take up them right positions, you won't go far wrong. Yeah. Because you're there before it actually happens. You know where you should be. And I think that's one thing that coaches miss now, is the positional sense. I don't hear many pundits even talking about positional sense.
I don't either. Like, this is the thing. We have this chat on the pod sometimes as well about Phillips being in a position and stuff like that, and they don't mention that all that much on TV or anything like that now.
It's everything.
I think because you're essentially reading the game 10 steps before what's going to happen, because you're already aware of where you need to be.
Yeah, position, like you say, it's nothing. It's not being clever.
No, it's not. But
just taking up the right areas.
It's intelligence.
You're right to mention Calvin Phillips about that, because he's certainly learned to be in the right positions. And obviously the Euros he had as well was amazing. What a player!
Incredible.
What a player! What a player! What a career! And what a legend he's been for Leeds. And I think it's great to see him develop to where we all wanted him to be, because it's took him a while. It's a process, isn't it? And Leeds have been through some tough times, and he's been with the club the whole way through that. And now he's one of the best players in the country.
I honestly, like, the only reason I was disappointed about the Euros and all that was that Phillips didn't win the medal that his performance throughout deserved.
Correct.
But then when Italy won it, I wasn't very disappointed. In that sense.
I get you.
Like, with my background and stuff like that, I've always followed Italy from even just a young age. Like, I wasn't given a choice when it came to my football club. My dad said Leeds. He said, when you get to an age where you can decide what country you want to follow, that's up to you. So it was like the 94 World Cup. So I picked the one World Cup where Ireland decided to beat Italy in the first round to support Italy. So I was kind of stuck then, like, you know what I mean? But these things happen, like. But to go back to one or two things, you've met Andrew Dalton, Stats, a few times. He's got a question, and he'd just like to know what it was like to make your debut against AC Milan at home.
Amazing. I mean, unexpected. Didn't think I was going to play in that game. I hadn't trained for 6 weeks. Next thing you know, David OLeary's ringing me. I'm thinking, have I been out last night? No, I'm not. But when he pulled me, he said, listen, I know you've not trained for a long time, but do you want to play in this game? We need you. Yeah. As soon as someone says to me they need me, I'm in. 100%. You're getting everything out of me. And I generally didn't think I'd play the whole 90 minutes. But as the game went on and the weather was lashing it down at Ellen Road, it just felt so good and refreshing to be back. And obviously making your debut against AC Milan, was like, wow.
You Shevchenko to come up against.
Yeah,
and
some great players. Yeah.
What's his name in midfield? The Portuguese man and everything.
There was a lot. There was a lot. I mean, there's too many great players to talk about.
Yeah.
I think Maldini as well, for me, being one of my heroes to play up against. Even though we're probably not far off the same age.
Yeah.
He's probably a bit. Is he a bit older?
I think he's 50 now. I think. Yeah.
But you know, like the wife always talks about him more than me. She goes, "What about his eyes? What do you mean? What his eyes are? Well, looking at his eyes, love.
Looking at the ball.
I was trying to kick him. Couldn't get near him. But nah, I think it was a great experience. And Stato.
Yeah, Stats. Yeah.
He's a good lad.
Stats
he's a good guy. He knows his football inside. I mean, bloody hell. Well, for that, you don't get that name for.
No, you don't at all.
And a good guy. I've spoken with him many times. Great guy, knows his football inside out. But the one I'd say to him was unexpected to play in the game. Played in the game. One of the best nights of my life in football. Loved that game.
Brilliant.
Hi, this is Don Matteo, and then you are listening to the Orta Know Better podcast.
So my question's next. Because of the 90s and noughties kind of football culture, who was the biggest joker in the Leeds squad, and what was the best prank you were around for?
There was quite a lot.
Yeah, this is why I wanted this question.
I would say I'd have to say Gary Kelly.
Really? Right.
Bonkers.
Yeah.
But what a brilliant person.
Yeah.
Beautiful guy. Leeds through and through. Obviously, you obviously being Irish as well, you know his story. And I think Mikel's, he had this way about him that made everyone else happy and smiley. He was really good at that, and obviously a great player, great servant to the club, and he had this energy about him. So I think there's the one that it wasn't. I don't think Gary was involved in this one, but it was one day that David Batty, because Bats was a bit of a lad.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
When he was not training, he'd just be sat doing pranks.
Right.
He actually filled the physio's car up with grass cuttings, and he just got the car as well. And this physio, Alan Sutton, physio for Leeds for a long time. Great guy. We all loved him, you know what I mean, Suts. And we used to have a banter with him. And we filled his car up with grass. And it was a brand new car. Imagine, everyone felt so bad because obviously. But what can you say to that? But I'm sure Suts, because he's doing a book at me, I'm sure he'll be mentioning that. But it was that's the kind of stuff that went on. Yeah. It's like obviously we lived near a prison, didn't we? So your car would go missing.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But you'd find it by a prison because you knew where you're going. But Bats, I always think I like talking about David Batty because no one really speaks about Bats too much anymore because, let's be honest, he does his own thing, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But what a player. What a person as well. No edge to Bats. Yeah. Just told you how it was. And I love that. I like people who are honest and
straight talkers.
Straight talkers. Yeah. And what a player.
Yeah.
He never gets the recognition he deserved. They all talk about all these great players. Batty was brilliant. What he did, he brilliant at his job. Yeah. He loved his job. He loved his football. People say, he liked his bikes. And of course he did. But you're allowed to have another hobby.
Jesus Christ.
He just happened to be very good at football.
Yeah.
And hard as nails. I'll tell you a quick story. Playing against Joe Cole, West Ham. And I just remember before the game kicked off, he was a young lad, Joe Cole, and I think Joe has actually talked about it himself. The game kicked off, and Bats had said to him, "Who's this? Usual little
Who's this upstart?"
Yeah, absolutely smashed him. I mean, I know I've talked about that a lot, smashing people, but that's how it was. And I think Joe learned pretty quickly. And sometimes, as a player, you appreciate that a little bit.
I loved that when I was growing up and I was playing, even though it was Sunday League and you'd play like you were 16, 17, you'd play B team or you'd play senior football and you got smashed. It made you the player that you progressed to be. And I think that's a lot of what's gone out of the game nowadays.
Yeah, for sure.
In relation to the younger players because they're playing in the under-23s league.
Yeah.
And they're not getting that grown-up male physicality in the game.
For sure.
And I think maybe sometimes that's why a lot of players don't succeed at the higher level because you need to get knocked about like that. You need to understand that it's a physical sport and all that. And I think we had this discussion on the pod one night. It was like should the under-23s still be playing in a reserve league type scenario, so that they get used to them bumps and bruises.
Yeah, reserve league was much better.
Yeah,
in my own.
Yeah, I think as well, because it does make you.
You play against men.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what you need to expect if you're playing against players that are the same age as you.
Yeah,
you're not really going to get the level of physicality that you need.
Yeah,
but Smarty also wants to know, what was the biggest goosebump moment whilst playing for Leeds?
It'd have to be the San Siro. Meant so much to me, my Italian roots, and just even leading up to it, we stayed in Lake Como. The food was ridiculous. Me and Mark Viduka was coming up to do this event with me in March 11th, and remember me and him just sat having a big massive pile of lasagna. And we're not talking about any kind of lasagna, proper stuff.
Proper
we
lasagna.
Were just sat there and just sucking in, and I think the setting of that, being in Lake Como as well, is just unbelievable. AC Milan are based there as well, aren't they? So it's not far, and I think George Clooney's round the corner.
He's got a little
and all that kind of
there with his
he's got that's it. So it just I don't know. It felt nice, and obviously we got the result, and then Peter Risdale let us stay for another night. That's another story, by the way. That's another story.
We might get you on for another interview for that story. Just elaborating on that a bit, did you find that chilling in such a nice area kind of mentally prepared you a little bit better as well, where you were just chilled out, there was no stress kind of thing?
I think when you obviously you're gonna get into the stadium, have a feel for it, that makes a difference, especially when you're playing such a big game. Getting a feel for it. Not many of us have been to the San Siro. You get the opportunity to go there. I tell you what, for example, after the Real Madrid game away, even though we qualified, you couldn't get us out. We were just training. We could have trained all day. We just love it, playing a game of football, in them places. And the same at the San Siro. It's just brilliant. It's just like, these things don't happen that often, so just embrace it. And we all did. Yeah. We really did.
You could tell. You could tell. You genuinely could tell.
We loved it. And we loved it. Sing song after every game. I am the music man, I come from down here, what can you? And it was like that the whole way through. Until we got beaten in the semis, that's when it stopped. Yeah. But we had that all the way through. And Gary Kelly again was the cheerleader. Yeah. I can say that. You won't mind me saying that.
Not at all. No. Sure, the man is mental anyway, so it's absolutely fine, you know what I mean? The next question I have, Dom, is Bren wants to know if you've ever been caught singing your own chant. I know we touched on it earlier, but this is just you sitting there getting all goosebumps that people are doing it. Have you ever been caught?
Not done it on my own personally, just me on my own.
Just you on your own. No. But
that'd be too much.
but within a crowd environment.
I say that. I must admit, I've been at Elm Road a few times and I've heard the song come back up, and I have thought about saying my own name, but it's just a bit weird.
Next time, get up and just say, I scored that goal, and then just finish the song.
No, the great thing is, for a lot of people, there's some great memories, some great nights, and were you there?
I wasn't there for the away game, no, I was there for the home game,
So, a lot of people were there and enjoyed the evening, and I did, obviously, but I think when you're playing in AC Milan, the team they are, I think it means a lot when you're playing against the top level players, and to get out of that group was just a huge achievement.
And to get out of that group after the game against Barca in Barcelona, I was genuinely cancelling my flight for the AC Milan game. I was genuinely. I was like, I'd rather work and earn some money than go for that. But it's like that mentality is just madness. I've one more now. Last one now is.
You sure it's the last one?
100%. It's from a chap you may know, Simon Johnson.
Oh yeah.
He played. Jono? Yeah, that's the one. He's a sound chap. He comes on and comes on the pod quite a bit.
Listen, I'm available.
Yeah, I definitely get the two-way on.
Get me on, mate. Get me on.
Yeah, 100%. Simon wants to know: do you think the club could have gone one step further under a different manager at the time? He's in brackets, David OLeary.
I loved working with David OLeary, that's the truth. He made me a better player. He understood the way I wanted to try and do stuff, and he was the same. People say that possibly he got caught up in the club doing well and didn't do the training as much as what he used to. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
He spent hours and hours with me working on stuff, and other players, not just me. I'm just talking about in general. So I have no issues with David. I thought he was a great manager.
Yeah.
The thing is, who could we have brought in that could have done a job that he did?
Yeah.
Let's be honest. We got to a semi-final of the Champions League. We could have went on and got some. In the final would have been in San Siro, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It would have been in Milan. So, again, don't get me started on that, because that's the truth. I had that in the back of my head at some points. I was like, I'd love to go back here because that would mean so much, But I think David OLeary is a great guy. I see David at some of the games now and again. Obviously, he does a bit with Arsenal as well. But underrated as a manager. Went to Villa, probably didn't work out as well as he did. Went abroad and worked in, I think it was United Arab Emirates.
Was it Abu Dhabi or something like that around there?
It didn't quite work for him, but you know what? What a career he had as a player as well. Jesus, and then a manager. So give him the respect that's due, because he was a good manager. He was great for us. And I know maybe other people think different. Some of the players he might not have got on with and stuff. That's the way football is, though.
But you don't get on with everyone in life either, though, do you?
You can't. And I think David, sometimes, you think when he left the club, we're in a good position. Yeah. So he was maybe thinking it was the right time for him to go. And everyone's got the right to that. Everyone's got a right to a choice when it's time for them to go. Yeah. It's time. I think he left too early. That's my own opinion.
I personally do as well.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But we didn't, and he obviously moved on and did what he did. But David's a good guy, football guy, knows the game inside out. If you speak with David, you get a good chat. He knows his stuff.
And he's also the Irishman that scored that winning goal in Calgary for that World Cup draw. You know what I mean? So he's got a lot of background behind him, and I'd imagine because you were a central defender as well, he kind of took a keen interest in how he wanted you to play, because he saw how he might want to play. I
think with David as well, with me, he knew the person I was. And I won't say I was a rule breaker. I wasn't at all. But I was committed. And like I say, he spent time with me working on stuff. And believe it or not, my thing I always wanted to get better at was heading.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't seem like a problem in San Siro, which is a good thing.
No, but I did want to improve that, because sometimes people work on the wrong things as a player. You work on things you're already decent at.
Yeah.
So mine was heading. I didn't score enough goals.
Did he recognise that as a centre back? Did he mention that to you?
We talked about it.
Yeah.
And we spent hours. On end talking about it, and it was just good advice, honest advice, and he was part of that. And I think even when he was doing the strikers, and working with the strikers, some of the sessions I had to watch, unbelievable.
Even as a defender, he was putting on unbelievable sessions as well.
Honestly, people won't talk about that, and it never gets said, but it's the truth. And I was there, witnessed it.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you now, they all improved for that. Sometimes I think if you were a defender, you know how to coach a striker, because you've been up against it.
That's a very good point.
Think about it. And I think David understood that, and he was very good at it.
Brilliant, yeah, that's class. Dom, look, I've really appreciated you taking the time to chat to me today.
Always good to speak to a good Irishman.
Thank you very much.
With the Italian shirt on, happy days.
There you go, happy days. Thank you very much, Dom, I appreciate it.
Mate.
Thanks very much.
That was Leeds legend Don Matteo there, speaking to Karl of the Orta Know Better podcast. Recorded live and direct at the launch of Pundit Games, football's original trivia game, arranged by the lads from Pundit Games and hosted by Harrogate Railway.